iVoox looks back at last year. The latest from Podnews.net with the podcast show, the new international festival for podcasting in London this May. Spanish language podcast platform iVoox has published its 2021 financial report. Now 12 years old, the profitable company claims over 70 million episodes and more than 700 million listeners. Income from subscriptions and advertising doubled during the year, and the company also spends €500,000 a year on R&D. Now here's Simon Mayo on the latest episode of Kermode and Mayo's Film Review.
This show will finish on 5 Live on April the 1st. 21 years is a long time to be clogging up the schedules, and we have decided, and to be clear, that's no one else has decided, we have decided to, now I don't know what's the right phrase here, to step away, to withdraw, to spread our wings, to exit pursued by a bear.
The 21-year-old film review from Simon Mayo and Mark Kermode will have its last show on BBC Radio 5 Live on April the 1st, but will be back, according to the show, which was very clear to point out it was ending on 5 Live.
April the 1st will be our last show on 5 Live.
Footballer Peter Crouch is also taking his 5 Live show to Acast. High data prices are responsible for holding podcasting back in Africa, claims an article in Balancing Act Africa. Believe podcasts are headed to the radio with an hour-long showcase on more than 500 sports map stations in the US. The Believe Hour will air tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern. Fireside Chat has a new app icon, and the website now promotes video rather than audio. Co-founder Fallon Fatemi is speaking at Podcast Movement Evolutions. YouTube has removed an episode of the Nelk Boys podcast with former President Donald Trump after Trump broke YouTube's election integrity policy by falsely claiming the US election was changed by widespread fraud. The podcast is still on Spotify and Apple. And podcast startup Kaleidoscope has raised $3.5 million in funding. The founders have told Axios in a paywalled article. The company has signed a 6-show deal with iHeartRadio. It was created by an author and podcaster and a former SVP at iHeartRadio. It's a Monday, so time for some tech stuff, and Oscar Merry has suggested a different solution for cross-app commenting using boostergrams as a method of sending comments. Now, we like that idea, and the spec is simple enough for us to code it. So as of today, you'll find a comments section on every update page in Podnews' web version. You can also see those comments in the Fountain app too. And we are also, as of today, permanently supporting the Social Interact tag for Twitter. Podcast, spelled with a K, is a new podcast app for KaiOS, the mobile OS for developing countries. We've got its user agent details in our show notes and our newsletter today. The Lava app, the iVoox app, the MTN Ord app, and Audio Wave are all sending dodgy user agents, though, for both RSS and for audio. We've contacted all of those companies today to help us by fixing those user agents. If you're moving away from Apple Podcasts, well, there's no OPML export anymore, so how do you do it? Nathan Gaithright has posted a Twitter thread, including using the Shortcuts tool to achieve it, which is very clever. If you want to host your website and your podcast for free on someone else's computer, then A, you need your head examined, and B, we link to how to host your podcast and website using IPFS. It's not for the faint-hearted. And Boostergram Corner, we're very grateful to you for sending us messages with your boosts, which you can now read on the Podnews website. Over the last week, Adam Curry has sent us 5,000 sats saying just great episode. We like boosts like that. Thank you, Adam. And also pointing out that pirated copies of his podcast appear regularly on Spotify. If you've got something to say, hit the boost button in your podcast app. We would recommend Fountain. It's free on iOS and on Android. And in podcasting news, the Jordan Harbinger Show features a Ukrainian podcaster in today's edition. Now, we covered Yuri Matsarski's show last Friday, but in Jordan's latest show, we found out why and how he's podcasting from the front line. And Tagline, a podcast about the making of great ads, returns for a second season. Produced by the Clio Awards, this season will cover classic advertising from Apple, Bud Light and Dove. This podcast is brought to you by The Podcast Show, the new international festival for podcasting in London this May. It's a 2-day business event with speakers like the CEO of Wondery, Jen Sargent, and Steph Simon from Clubhouse, access to over 120 global brands, and unmissable live shows. You can get 20% off day passes with the code PODNEWS at thepodcastshowlondon.com. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories in full and subscribe for free, we're at podnews.net.